So the first part would be the description. Slide. So stakeholders analysis is a process used to identify and assess the importance and influence of various stakeholders in a project or organization. So it helps us understand the interests, needs, and concerns of stakeholders to develop strategies for managing and engaging with them effectively. So it is a system developed in order to make a better interconnection with different stakeholders, both from internal and external stakeholders. So, as I've said, the two types is the internal and external stakeholders. So, as you can see, mainly duha ra jud ang direction sa atong stakeholders in an organization or company or business. So, the difference between the two kinds or the two types of stakeholders is mainly internal stakeholders are more direct in has more direct roles when it comes to the organization or the company. So when it comes to decision making, they are the ones who are official, or they are the ones who are authorized to make the decisions, and all the internal affairs of the organizations is mainly maneuvered or managed by the internal stakeholders. In the external side of the stakeholders is more of the outer part of the organization, but even though they are not within the organization, the structure, they have the influence, they have the impact when it comes to decision makings. So another difference is when internal stakeholders work in a day-to-day basis or in a calendared or structured manner, where they have timeline to accomplish, they have timeline to decide and to work towards the goal of the organization. So another part is on the side of the indirect stakeholders is more of the trend or the seasonal aspect of the organization or the company. So that's the main difference. So when we assess the stakeholders, we need to focus on the three things. First is the interest. So what the stakeholders care about and what they expect. So both the internal and external we should identify how as to where the stakeholders see the organization. Does it progress well? Does it have certain threats and opportunities along the way? So in order to assess the stakeholders, we should always know what they think about the organization. So also in what they need, both the personal and also in contribution to the improvement of the organization. So these stakeholders must have their say or their view or their critique when it comes to the actual situation of the organization. So, and when it comes to their concerns, their concerns must also be taken care of, especially when it comes to the improvement of the organization. So when we categorize the stakeholders, there are this tool was made to the power and interest tool is formulated in order to categorize our stakeholders. So in the diagram, as you can see, there is a high power and high interest. So these are the type of stakeholders that should be managed closely They have great significant impact. They have the major impact in the organization, and they also have the biggest interest in the category wise, and also they need to be informed well. They need to be managed closely. So another category is the high power low interest. So this type of stakeholders are the ones who have who has great impact in the organization, but does not need too much of information or monitoring. So you just needed to keep them satisfied when it comes to their decision making, because they have an impact, because they have the power, but they do not need to be regularly monitored. Just a minimum effort. So another category is the low power high interest. So it's more of the keeping them informed, but less na sa interest. So another one is the low power and low interest. So both na ni siya, minimum effort na siya. So low power and low interest, so less monitoring na siya compared sa other. Okay. So in mapping the relationships in different stakeholders, it is important in a way that we need to clarify the roles. So first one is the first part in mapping the relationship is to define the responsibilities and understand the process and the project. So it will help the organization also have an effective collaboration of each of the stakeholders. So there should be an important highlight for each of the stakeholders to understand what really happens, not just on the product or the output wise, but also in the step-by-step process of different parts of the organization. Okay, so it's also important to identify the power dynamics of the organization. So in order to assess, we need to identify the influence level for decision making. So which of these stakeholders has the biggest decision, which of these stakeholders produces the variables that would move forward to a decision, and also which of these stakeholders are the ones who would really has the last say or the last decision. Also, when it comes to communication, it is still another important part of analysis when it comes to the stakeholder is to improve the communication. So there is a check and balance per se in the organization, in the stakeholders. So also to mitigate risk, identifying the roles or the impact of each kind of stakeholder, it be the major one or the minor stakeholder or the internal or external, it contributes towards the spotting of conflict or misalignment of certain decisions within the organization. So it will help in mitigating risk when these stakeholders understand each other's relevance, impact, and roles. So another part of the mapping is to enhance the decision making. So there is a clear understanding of the ecosystem within the organization, which results to a more effective and efficient decision making. Okay, so I think the last this is the last slide. So engagement strategies. So, first part, when it comes to engagement strategies, is to explore the stakeholders' roles. As I've said earlier, there should be a complete awareness, even to the not just in the internal but also in the external part of the organization, of the stakeholders. So when the members of the stakeholders will identify, they will then create or start analyzing as to how, as to when, as to where, as to what are the targets of the towards the goal of the organization. And also in the communication strategies, there should always be a protocol being made or formulated. So once it is placed in line or in the as a map or as a framework, the stakeholders will then adapt to it as to where and how the processes will work in respect to their roles as an individual and also as a member of a larger ecosystem. So I think that's all for my slide, Doc.